Alright, welcome to another live episode of GeekOutdoors.com. I'm actually doing some setup real quick before we get started, and so let me make sure everything's working and we will get started with the episode. So let me see. And so this week, the things that we're going to be talking about, if you haven't seen the title, we will be talking about YouTube, demonetization. We'll be talking about Facebook Nudes, and IBM, and SCO, and Linux. Now, what I'm trying to do is get my chat to get on my computer, and so if you are saying something through my phone, then I won't see the chat right now because I'm trying to get it on here. So give me just a second to see if I can get that to work. Okay, it's not showing up. Okay. All right, so okay, so the health is good, and let me see if I could put the chat on here. Super chat. Okay, open a new window. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually turn on the chat live stream. Let me see. Oh, all right, let me change that. Stat encoder. Okay. Custom options. Enable live chat. Okay. 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 Okay, it looks like I have the chat on, and so if for some reason it's having problems, let me know, because I am trying this for the first time, because whenever I have the chats on the phone, it's hard for me to see, and I have to constantly put my finger on the screen. So, alright, so let me pop out this chat. Alright, so it looks like it's working now. And so if you did feel like you wanted to chat, you could go ahead and do that. And if for some reason I need to make some changes, I will. And so let's go ahead and get started with this, because as usual, every week, we try to discuss things that are, I think, interesting in the whole geek world. And also, if there's any cool Linux news, I will always try to include that every single week. And so the first thing that I wanted to discuss is YouTube demonetization. Okay, because this is really a hot topic that's been going on YouTube for quite a while this year, and it isn't anything new. However, this year, with all the changes, the algorithm changes, the whole YouTube adpocalypse, a lot of people are discussing this more and more, and a lot more content creators are being affected than before. And so I did do a video on the whole YouTube adpocalypse before, and I will leave a card or something, or maybe a link in the description area below if you wanted to see that. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I really feel that it is important to actually be a content creator, but it's also important to understand the business side of it. And so the reason why I feel like I can have some, I guess, knowledge and experience in talking about that is because I'm on both sides. So if you see back here, and move my mouse, this is my YouTube channel, which you probably can't see, but on the other end is Google AdWords. Okay, so this is how you see ads on your YouTube videos, and this is how you see ads on the internet. Okay, and I'll go into more detail on that. And then on the other end, I have Facebook ads. This is Facebook ads for businesses. Okay, the other one is Google AdWords. And so I understand how you see ads. So that is the business end of it, because I'm actually running ads. But then I'm also on the other end, obviously, because I am a YouTube creator. So I also understand what's affecting creators as well. And as a matter of fact, if I actually go to my YouTube channel here, and I don't think you'll be able to see this, but one of my YouTube videos, or many of my YouTube videos, actually got demonetized as well. Okay, so if you're not familiar with it, if you are a YouTube creator, you're probably seeing this new symbol. It's like an orange symbol with a $sign, and then it says not suitable for most advertisers, and then it says request review. Okay, and so I really wanted to talk about that because, you know, on my channel, hey Vasil, thank you so much for joining. Hey Vasil, so I've actually, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I turned off the chat on my phone because it's really hard to see, and so instead I have the chat on my desktop. And so this is my first time doing it, and so what I had to do was disable the chat initially on the phone and then turn it back on the computer. And so it wasn't a simple process. I'll get better at it. And so let's go ahead and continue with the YouTube demonetization. And so that's why I wanted to show you there. I do both. So I understand how the ads work because I actually create ads and actually buy ads, okay? And then on the other end, I create videos, I create content. So my YouTube videos have also been demonetized. So for people who are not aware of that, let me, in general terms, explain what the whole issue about YouTube demonetization is about, okay? So if you've never created YouTube videos before, okay, this is in general how YouTube or Google pays you, okay? And so you've probably heard of Google AdSense and Google AdWords, okay? And the way you get paid is through AdSense. So how does that really work? Well, it works. Let's go ahead and start step by step. Google AdWords, when people like myself or businesses, when we buy ads on Google, okay, or in the case, this is Facebook, you're buying ads, okay? So when we buy the ads, we're spending money. You know, we're spending money with the understanding that the money that we spend on the ads, it'll get shown to people, you know, who are on our website or whatever platforms, okay? That's the beginning. That's Google AdWords, okay? Then you move over to Google AdSense, okay? So Google AdSense is the actual program that allows people to get paid for the ads that are being displayed on their many different properties. For example, YouTube is one place. So if you are familiar with Google AdWords, there's two, in general, places. There's the GDN network, with the Google Display Network, which is what YouTube is part of. But there's also Google Search Network, which if you go to google.com and many of its search partners, that's the Google Search Network. And then Facebook ads has ads that obviously you see on Facebook, but they also own Instagram, so there's also on Instagram too. But it's all tied together. There's Facebook ads, Facebook Messenger, Instagram ads, okay? So you understand how this works. Ads, when we buy ads, Google AdWords. AdSense is the program that allows you to make money from placing the ads on your properties like your website, or in this case, on YouTube channels, okay? So that's how you, in the end, get paid, okay? And so whenever the ads run, just remember, Google AdWords, I or a business, we paid for the ads to show up on YouTube, and then if people watch or engage with the ads, they charge the money that I spent, okay, or the business spent. And then what Google does is, through the AdSense program, they allow a profit sharing. So you get a percentage of that ad spend. And that's how creators make money, through Google AdSense, through Google AdWords. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And Lance says, hey, good morning. Thank you so much, Lance, for joining. And I hope that really makes sense because if you watch my YouTube channel, you know that I really value content creation. And I would encourage you to create YouTube videos or create any other type of content on the internet because it's really powerful. okay? And I even have a playlist for YouTube, people who want to get into YouTube. But I really feel that if you are new to YouTube or you're not familiar with the whole idea of how this all works, when you hear news like YouTube demonetization and stuff, it could really deter people from creating content. Or in other cases, if you are already a content creator, things like this could, to be honest, it could really piss you off because of the simple fact that a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but the people who do YouTube full time, a lot of them primarily depend on AdSense to make their money, okay? And that's really why I want to get into this, because if you depend primarily on Google AdSense, and just remember how I just explained it, I buy ads on Google AdWords. Google allows you to make money off those ads through Google AdSense, and then finally, you as the creator get a percentage of that, okay? And so Google, being a business, as all these businesses, Facebook ads, if I'm spending money on the ads, I want to get a return on investment on my ads, okay? So the whole YouTube adpocalypse was the fact that these ads were showing up in places that they did not agree with. So basically they were not getting an ROI, okay? So why would you spend your money? And so because of that, a lot of advertisers pulled out their ad spend, which is right here, off of YouTube, which is bad for business, okay? So what that meant was, at the end, Google didn't get paid, and so through the AdSense program, content creators didn't get paid because you as the person buying ads or as the business buying ads, you are not getting a proper ROI on your investment. So that is the business reason of why this whole YouTube adpocalypse, and also the technical reasons of how this works. So Lance is saying, I think a great idea would be to strap a GoPro to my Cat Pro and post those videos to my commentary. Yes, you should do that. Cat Pro, good idea, but Seal is saying yes. And so I hope that makes sense, okay, on how you get paid. And so let's get into the whole demonetization, okay? So now that we kind of have an understanding of how it works in general, okay? So with the demonetization, Google is always constantly making changes. Every single company makes changes, okay? And so the big part of it is their algorithms underneath. And so what the algorithm is doing is, it's going through all these millions and millions of videos throughout their YouTube platform. There's literally thousands, I wouldn't say thousands, probably millions of hours of content uploaded every single day to YouTube all around the world. And so human beings, they would not have a workforce large enough to take care of all that. And so obviously they built AI for that. And what the AI does is it'll go through everybody's YouTube channel and see whether or not it is suitable for the ad to be displayed, okay? So let me explain to you how that works from the ad platform, okay? So if you use Google AdWords, okay, or even you use Facebook ads, any ad platforms, there is an option here that will allow you to actually exclude things, okay? There's an option here called exclusions on AdWords, okay? And there's also things like placements and topics, okay? So if you've never done ads, then this might not be familiar with you. But you, as a person buying ads, as a person or business, you have control on where your ads are shown, okay? So what the AI does in general, and obviously nobody really knows the algorithm, but what Google's AI does, it looks and sees what preferences you put in your ads, and it will try to figure out the best place to show your ads or the best place not to show your ads, okay? So recently, with all the algorithm changes, the AI, since it's not a human, it's learning, okay? And so with that, it's gonna make quote-unquote mistakes, okay? And so my videos have been demonetized, or in this case, limited revenue, okay? And so like my last video, I did a review on the movie The Man from Nowhere, and it has no copyright footage, nothing. It's just me, like right now, talking in front of my video camera, in this case my phone, and I have a movie playing in the background, but there's nothing that, from the terms of service, that I violated anything. But the AI still limited my monetization. And it's actually done this on pretty much every new video that I've uploaded in the past, I would say, month or so, okay? And so let me go and answer some questions. And I really wanted to get into this further because once again, I really would hope that people do not get scared by this, okay? Or maybe not even just scared, just maybe things like this would probably deter them from not only creating content on YouTube, but just being a content creator in general. And I'll get into the whole area of the, I guess, the different mindsets or approach to this, okay? And so, Vasil saying, now demonetization in YouTube gave a big jump to Patreon and similar platforms. Yeah, Vasil, I do want to talk about that because I think it's really important, okay? And it's going to go into the whole approach and mindset of this whole demonetization. So Rose, good morning, Rose. Hello, Geek, Lance and Vasil. Google is purposely trying not to pay you. Think about it. Google is saving millions for this. Google is making up this excuse. I don't believe Google. Yeah, Rose, that's why I really wanted to do this episode, because I wanted people to understand how things work, okay? So the way that you're explaining it there, that's how a lot of people see it, but if they've never ran ads, they don't understand how things work. That's why I'm explaining it, because I think when you have an understanding, and then when I go further into the way you can approach it, you'll understand how things work, okay? And so, Lance, okay, so Rose just asked Time Switch from Linux and Eli P. Guy about the demonetization issue. Vasil, hi Rose, I agree. Okay, so let me get into that, y'all. I mean, and I hope that this doesn't sound like I'm pro business or pro content creator, okay? I'm pro both. That's why I want to show you both. And that's why, you know, a lot of times whenever you see content creators, and they have every right to do so because they're creating content, right? So whenever you see a lot of content creator makes these videos, normally they're very angry. And so, and that's understandable, especially this is your primary source of income. But the thing is, if they've never done the other side where you run ads, you actually pay money for ads as a person or a business, then you only see one side of it. And so that's why I really wanted to make this video, because so then I could explain to people how it works on both sides, okay? And let me talk about the two approaches, okay, and the mindsets. And these are my opinions, and you know, they might not necessarily be the same as anybody else's opinions, okay? So let's first get into the perspective that I think that this is Google AdWords, by the way, for anybody just coming in. And so let me go from the perspective of what you see on YouTube, meaning the content creators, because honestly, you only really see it from the content creators' perspective, okay? And so a lot of people are saying these things. Oh, they're taking away our money. Or, hey, why did my videos get demonetized? Hey, I'm creating all this content for Google and YouTube to make money, and they're screwing me. They're stealing my money, okay? And if you're only looking at it from that side, okay, I get it. And this is what I'm talking about, the mindset. That is the thought of you seeing YouTube as your employer and you are the employee. Okay, so in this case, you're like, hey, I did all this work, but I'm not getting paid for it. Okay, and that is not really what YouTube is. Okay, on that video that I mentioned earlier about the YouTube apocalypse, when you are a content creator, when you're on YouTube, you are not an employee. You are an entrepreneur. Okay, so that is why whenever people get into this, most people who are doing this are not an entrepreneur. They've never been an entrepreneur before. Okay, and so they will go into it thinking this is a job, which I believe it's not a job. Because if you go work at a job, if the business, which you don't own, if the business doesn't pay you, then you're going to quit your job, or you're going to file complaints, or it's illegal, right? In most countries, for you not to get paid if you go work at a job. But this isn't a job, because you are not an employee of Google or YouTube. Okay, you are a business owner. You are an entrepreneur. And so this is the reality. The reality is you are not an employee. You are an entrepreneur. And the reality is when you're an entrepreneur, this is really what happens in entrepreneurship. A lot of times, actually all the time, there's constantly changes. You might not get paid at all if you're an entrepreneur. You could be in a business for 5 to 10 years and not make a profit. Or you could go out of business. Or somebody could not pay you. Your clients might not pay you. Or people could steal your ideas. Or you could get sued. And that's actually what happens when you become a content creator. You are now entering the world of entrepreneurship and a business owner. And I have said this many times before, and even on the last video, is that my personal opinion is that YouTube, because it's not a job, you should not see YouTube, in my opinion, as your main source of income. Okay, you should see it as multiple sources of income, because that's actually how businesses work. Businesses don't have one source of income. They have multiple sources of income. And so in this case, that's why I wanted to show you the Google AdWords, and I have Facebook ads, and explain to you how you get paid as a content creator, and how the business, Google or Facebook, that's how they make money. Okay, and they share that money with you. They don't have to, because you're not their employee. Okay, and so Google and Facebook have a vested interest to make sure their ads get shown, because if I'm spending money, or a business is spending money on ads, and I'm not getting a return on my ads, I'm not going to spend money anymore. Okay, and in this case, Google is, like Rose was saying, Google is purposely not paying you. That's not the case, Rose, because if the ads are not being shown, then Google doesn't make money as well, because I'm going to stop spending money on ads. And so it's in their best interest for Google, Facebook, all these other companies to make sure the ads get shown. Okay, but obviously, if it's shown in places that we don't want, or if it's not a good return on investment, we're going to stop spending money. And so Google not showing the ads, they don't get paid. Okay, and so it's not that they're taking money away, because they're not making money. Because if people like myself are not spending money on their ads, nobody gets paid. And so that's why companies like Google, like Facebook, Twitter has ads, Snapchat has ads. Every single thing that you do on the internet, there has to be some monetary benefit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a business. Otherwise, we wouldn't be making this video now. Otherwise, you would not have any of the things that you did, because you normally work for a business. And a business has responsibilities to make sure they're making money and generating revenue, so they can pay you to work for the companies. And the way that Google and all these companies make money, this is how they make money. And it's just one way. They have ads. Their ad platform is obviously their largest source of income, at least for now, but they also have other services. They have business services, you know, like if you think about Google, they have their Google apps for businesses. They also provide, like Amazon, they provide their AWS service. And so there's many ways that they make money. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here, by giving you a really good foundation, because I run ads, I'm a content creator, and so I understand both sides of it. But just understand that if the ads do not show, nobody makes money. Google doesn't make money. You, as the content creator, doesn't make money as well. And so, with all of that being said, and I know that's really long-winded, with all that being said, it goes back to what I said earlier. You are not an employee of YouTube or any of these companies. You are an entrepreneur. And so with that being said, as I stated many times, do not see AdSense as your main source of income, because if you do, you'll be in the same situation as a job, because if they stop paying you, you don't have any other source of income, and that's a huge problem. And just understand that no matter what platform that you're on, they're constantly going to be making changes. Why? Because they have to. Because if they don't, their competition is going to, and they're going to make less money, and they're going to have to lay off or fire people or go out of business. Okay, so yeah, and Rose is saying YouTube has not made a profit since Google bought YouTube. Some business make notices, sometimes logic runs against business sense. And you know, Rose, that's why I really wanted to point this out, because if you have never done business or become an entrepreneur or done things entrepreneurial, it's very difficult to understand why they're doing the things that they do. But if you have done this before, and whether you've had successes or you've had failures, you know it's very, very challenging. And so, yeah, YouTube hasn't gained a profit, okay? And so who knows, YouTube might not be around in the future. I mean, that's a simple truth. And so that's why Google or Alphabet, whatever, that's why they're making all these changes, because they need to be profitable. They need to generate income in order to keep the business running. And in the end, as I always stated, is to pay the people who work for the companies so that they can take care of themselves and their families, okay? And so my suggestion, as always, is if you do decide to be a content creator, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, doesn't matter. I would never, in my opinion, I would not put that as your only means of income. Because if you do, when there are changes that are made, which there will always be changes, you could lose all your income. And that is horrible, you know, and that's bad. Okay, but that's the same thing as if you had a job. If you put all your your income in one place. If you lost your job or the company went out of business and you don't have any other way to make money, yeah, that's horrible. Okay, so I really hope that helps. And Rose said, look at find a system engineer, James Danmore. Yeah, Rose, it's a business. No business that's successful is ever going to depend on one person or one source. Okay, and so so the whole point of this video, hopefully, I hope that people kind of get this. That's why I wanted to show you the ads on the back end, explain to you how AdWords works with AdSense, and then how it works with the content creators, and then also my perspective on it, that don't look at YouTube as an employer and you as an employee. Look at it as a way for you to grow your business, okay, or your own personal things. Because if you actually have to pay to be on YouTube, if you pay for web services, you pay for email marketing, it's expensive. If you were actually have to pay to put your stuff on YouTube, I guarantee you it probably costs $1,000 a month, okay, or more, depending on the amount of videos and the bandwidth that you need, okay? And so you're getting this for free. So just look at it as the best platform that you can use and leverage so that you can actually promote your business, promote yourself, and at the same time, you're not only making money through different methods, but obviously Google also makes money as well. And so that's a way to look at it, okay? But if you just see YouTube as a way, like I said, as an employer and an employee, it's going to be really hard for you, because when they make changes and you lose money, then you don't have any other sources, it's really hard, okay? So that's my whole point of this video. Please do not see YouTube as your only source or main source of income, okay? And if it is, obviously you should diversify, okay? Have other ways to make money from YouTube, and also see that as a really awesome platform for you to promote your business or promote yourself. And then with all the technical details, that stuff changes all the time. So you can either spend your time trying to see how you could game the system, or not even game, but try to figure out how to work the system. That's going to be tough, because things always change. Or you could probably spend most of your time, which you kind of have to, focusing on the whole entrepreneurship side, you know, how to build your brand, how to get more sources of income from it, you know, how to leverage these platforms in a way that will help you sustain for the long term, okay? Because for myself, that's what I see it as. Obviously, as any business, if you've ever had a business before, it takes a long time for you to learn the skills, get the experience, and actually make money out of it. It's difficult, okay? And so just see it that way, okay? I hope that helps, and I hope that if you are watching it, that you don't see it as like, hey, I'm bashing content creators, or that even I'm bashing the businesses, okay? I'm just trying to explain from somebody who does both the back end AdWords, the business side, and also the content creator, that, you know, I understand both, and that you kind of got to take a different approach, because this is definitely not a place for people if they just want to go collect a paycheck like they do at a job, okay? It's definitely not that, okay? So hopefully that helps. And if you are brand new to content creation, I still recommend definitely go create content and then learn other ways that you could maximize that, okay? And so, so Vasil says, in summary, if you look at yourself as an entrepreneur, your content as a business, don't let mediators YouTube to control your business. In a way, yes, Vasil, because once again, these businesses, you don't own these businesses. They're the ones who created the business and own it. If you want to own it, create your own business, okay? So that's why you need to have that entrepreneurial mindset. You know, you need to take an entrepreneur approach, because you have to. Because if you don't, no matter where you go, you don't own any of those platforms, okay? So, you know, for example, if you didn't want to own your platform, create your own website. I have my own website, okay? And then I have my stuff in many other areas, okay? I have it on YouTube, of course. I have it on Facebook, okay? And I have it many other things on the internet, because that's the approach that I'm taking, you know? So if one platform were to change things and really destroy my source of income or my marketing from there, well, I have many other places that I could still grow my brand and grow my audience, okay? Because I'm looking for the long term, and I'm taking an entrepreneurial approach, because honestly, you have to, okay? If you took it from an employee approach, it's going to be really difficult. You know, even if you could make money for the short term, for the long term, it's going to be harder to just rely on somebody else's business because you don't own that business, okay? And so YouTube is still free, but you can use YouTube to help develop your business. Yeah, Rose, and that's my whole point of this. You know, I don't want to bash anybody else's opinions, you know, especially if that is a primary source of income. But I really wanted to share my own experience, especially for people who are brand new to content creation, and then to understand how AdWords, AdSense, and then you being the content creator, how all of that works. So then with that understanding, like I said, that you would take a more entrepreneurial mindset, okay? Because this is fun. I love doing YouTube. I love the fact that the people like Basil, Rose, Lance, and many other people, that you are building an audience, you're building a community, okay? And this is how not only businesses thrive and survive, but this is how you also build a community in general, you know? And so it's really challenging, but it's extremely fun. And I myself, I'm gonna make sure that I make money from all of this so that I can continue doing this because it's fun and I enjoy all the people on the other end, okay? So I wanna continue doing this, okay? And so I hope that that makes sense. And I do hope that, like I said, for anybody who's interested in doing content creation, I really do hope that it helps them understand a little bit more, and also to see that it's not something that you should really fear. It's something that you should like be aware of and then adapt as needed, okay? And with that being, you know, when you do that, then, you know, things are not as scary, and at the same time, you know, you're not gonna go like this, you know, and crash and stop making content, okay? So, that was really long. Let's move over to the second bit of news, since I did talk about Google AdWords, and also right here, this is Facebook ads. This is the Power Editor, okay? And so, which leads me to my second point of news, is Facebook Nudes, okay? And we talk about this all the time, and I do want to make something clear, okay? It might sound weird that I work on the back end, I'm creating ads to show to you, but at the same time, I'm talking about privacy and stuff all the time, okay? Well, the reason I do that, and to me, I don't see nothing wrong with that, okay? So the whole point of all these videos, like this Facebook News that I'm about to talk about, is it's just that, you know, we have a little bit more knowledge, okay? Because honestly, we live in a world where we are more connected than ever before, especially international. And so if you're the type of person who don't want anything to do with the internet, it's almost impossible now, okay? And so with these types of news, it allows you as a person or as a community to make your own decisions on how you should handle any of these things related to privacy, okay? So Facebook News, okay? So, hey, good morning, Gaza. Thanks for joining. So, Facebook Nudes, if you are not familiar with what I mean by that, is that there's this thing that has been on the internet for a long time. It's called revenge porn. Okay, so what that is somebody, usually it's somebody who was a partner of yours, they take really sensitive information, like maybe nude photos or nude videos, and they'll put that on the internet without your consent. Okay, that's a form of taking a revenge, and it's also a form of abuse and of privacy abuse at the same time. Okay, and so this is a big problem, and it's a very complex problem. Okay, and so what Facebook has done is they've actually put a pilot program where they're actually allowing people, and this is a pilot program in Australia, they're allowing people to upload through their Facebook Messenger program and upload a nude picture or maybe video. As far as I know, it looks like it's just pictures. A nude video or picture, a nude picture of themselves through Facebook Messenger, so that it can identify if this particular image or maybe video, if it gets uploaded anywhere else in Facebook, that they will be able to block that from actually being shown. Okay, so that might sound kind of scary. You're uploading a nude photo or video of yourself voluntarily to Facebook. So let's look at it at two ends, okay? Let's look at it from the first end. Privacy. We talk about this all the time. And uploading a nude picture willingly of yourself to Facebook so they could scan it and have it running in their systems, it's kind of creepy, right? But And then on the other end, it's the whole fact of protecting yourself, okay? And this really affects a lot of women around the world, okay? Their pictures are being taken without their consent, or videos are being taken of them, like, and they're being uploaded to the internet or on Facebook groups without their consent, okay? And so that is the other end, okay? So the first end of the privacy is, you know what? I personally would not do that, okay? But I've never been affected by it, okay? There's only certain type of information I want to share with these businesses, okay? And even right now, as I mentioned before, they're scanning our faces on this video. They're looking at all the information. But like when you put something personal, like you being nude, that's a different level, okay? And so there's a lot of privacy concerns there. And what Facebook is saying is, at least right now, when you upload the image, it will go through this process where right now there will be a human who evaluates it, and then it'll create a hash for that image. So then it'll have a unique identifier, and it'll have other AI working with it. So then it'll have a digital fingerprint on that image, and I think also video when you upload it, okay? So in one case, that's really creepy. That could lead to so many privacy areas, okay? And that's why the whole feeling of trust comes into play, okay? And oh, good morning, Shatter. Good to see you here. Yeah, right. Thank God I left Facebook. Rose is saying, good luck with that Facebook. Lance say hi, Shatter. Yeah, and so that's really, to me, that's kind of crazy. Okay, that's one case of it, okay? And then the other case is what I just said earlier. For people who have been affected by this, that is a form of abuse and privacy violations, right? And so I could understand why people would want to do this, to make sure that things that they did not voluntarily, they didn't agree to have somebody record or take a picture of them and then upload it on the internet, or in this case on Facebook. So I could definitely see why people would want to have this option. And Facebook has had this option before, where if you see a picture or a video being uploaded that you did not agree with, okay, or that violates whatever privacy concerns you had, you could report that to Facebook. Now they're just making that a little more streamlined and more automated, okay? Shatter is saying, who not here? That's okay. And so those are the two ends of it, okay? And honestly, I could see both ends, okay? One case, like, your privacy is very important, okay? But my feeling is the privacy is, basically your privacy is mainly, for the most part, not all the time, but most of it's in your control. And what I mean by this is you are the one who decided to take a picture or create content and post it, okay? For the majority of people, okay? But in this case, it could have been done involuntarily, okay? And then you put that out there on the internet, okay? And so with that, there's going to be some potential problems or potential consequences with you putting really sensitive information on the internet. That's the first thing, okay? Like for myself, I do Facebook ads, but I don't do stuff, or honestly, I don't do anything on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, because I don't want to, and also I know the amount of data that they're collecting, and so that's my measure of control. I do put certain things on the internet, like these YouTube videos, but things that I feel that should not be on the internet, I don't. Okay, that's, to me, that's like kind of like common sense stuff. I wouldn't put my GPS location or pictures of people in my family that I don't want to show, or friends. I would not put that on the internet. Okay, but that's my choice. Okay, so that's the first step. You have control of what you put online initially. Okay, but then there's the other place where they're constantly collecting data on you, and so there is also a loss of control. But honestly, that's not an area that you can really control. Okay, so Rose says there's no privacy if you go online, basically. True that. Yeah, there isn't, Rose, and we've always agreed to that privacy is gone. Even if you don't use the internet, information is still stored on the internet, like public records, government records. Like if you bought a house or you got permits, that would be on the internet anyway. Okay, so but I really think your privacy, it all starts with you. Okay, so that's my personal opinion. Okay, so going back to this whole Facebook nudes things, in the whole privacy sense, that's really creepy and scary. But if you think about the type of things, let's talk about right now, How many things, even right now, like 20 years ago, this would have been crazy. You know, nobody would have put all this information, personal stuff on the internet. Or actually 20 years ago, the internet was just born. If you think about the 80s or 70s, you know, like even having your name on a phone book, that was like privacy, right? And so things have changed. And so in the future, having nude videos, photos of yourself being scanned automatically, I don't think that would be something that's weird. Just like right now, this might seem normal to us, but if you look back 20, 30 years ago, this would have been really weird, okay? And so, so that's, yeah, so guys are saying, no, shots are saying, and most people don't care about that too, even bother to read the TLDR in terms of service. Yeah, shots are, yeah, most people don't, okay? And I understand, you know, because I'm not a lawyer and I'm not going to spend time. I just want to like put stuff that I feel I want to put on the internet, you know? So you're right, most people would not read through that. Gaza is saying it doesn't take much to find someone and the information. Privacy doesn't exist. Yes, Gaza, absolutely. Lance, the good old days of the unlisted phone number. Yes, Lance. Nowadays, who cares if it's not on the phone book because it's on the internet. That's Shatzer saying, hello, good day, everybody. Good to see y'all guys here. Yeah, thanks, Shatzer, for joining. And so, that's the first part of the privacy. You know, I think it really is something that will become normal, okay? And once again, if you could control what you put out, that's great, okay? In the second case, where you cannot control it, where somebody was taking a video or picture of you without your consent and putting it online, I could see the benefit of that. And of course, if you look beyond that, okay, beyond just nude pictures and stuff, this could be abused, and it will be, I guarantee you. I guarantee you this will be abused by people who will try to, you know, use it in ways that it's not what it's designed for. And even, let's be real, even for Facebook, they say you can't see the image, it's a link, but to be honest, they have it on their computers. They have it on their servers. Okay, so the potential for them to use it for other means, they will use it. Okay, they will use it. Facebook ads, you use Facebook ads, they have so much data on you, it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I think Facebook ads, if I compared Facebook ads data to Google AdWords data, okay, both of them collect an absolutely crazy amount of information. But Facebook ads, it's very, very specific to you and everybody else in your network. So it's very specific. And so just remember that. So if you are the type of person who uses social media a lot, especially if it is on Facebook, if it's your personal page, just remember and kind of be cognizant of the fact that this data is being used heavily, it's being collected heavily, okay, for many different reasons, okay? So whatever you post online, just think about that, okay? So Shatter saying totally deleted Facebook or just deactivated. Oh, he's asking Rose, Facebook, okay, yeah. And so that was the bit of news for Facebook. And you know, if there's ever news like this that comes up, and for some people they might be tired of hearing, you know, the whole privacy stuff, but I think it is important for people that take this that it is important to them. I'm sorry, that take this as more of a priority for them. Okay, and so if you're the type of person who does take this, you know, privacy really highly, then I think this news will help them. Okay. And then for people who may not be aware, maybe they are posting really sensitive information on social media or anything else on the internet, just understand that we use this data, okay? And so just understand that. So let's move on to the last part, of course, Linux news. Okay, this one, I didn't see this coming, okay? So if you've been around the internet world for a long time, you probably heard of something called SCO versus IBM versus Linux. Okay, so if you are not familiar with what this is, let me give you a general breakdown of what this whole issue is and how it relates directly to Linux. Okay, so back in the day, in the 90s, and then there was this company called SCO, or it's actually called Santa Cruz Operations, okay? And they were a Unix vendor So they produce Unix servers and really the Unix operating system behind it, okay? And IBM, which is the largest Unix vendor, I'm pretty sure they still are, okay? They have their own Unix services, okay? But this really focuses on the operating system, okay? So Unix, they have many different flavors of Unix, okay? So IBM had their own. It's called IBM AIX, okay? I used to work on Unix servers myself. And so what happened was back then, SCO actually joined a partnership with IBM to produce a Unix-based operating system called Project Monterey, okay? And so they shared information. And out of that, the deal didn't go through. Okay, but IBM purportedly releases portions of the Project Monterey project into their servers. Okay, specifically for Linux. Okay, and if you know, Linux is open source, but in this case, SCO argued that they stole their proprietary code and put it into their operating system, the IBM open source operating system for Linux. And so at that time, SCO was claiming that they had the rights and that they were going after mostly businesses that use Linux, and they wanted them to pay them a licensing fee because SCO owned the rights to it, okay? So what happened in the end was, it was found out that Novell actually owned the original Unix proprietary code rights, which then led to Linux, because, you know, there's a lot of things that are being shared there, okay? But when it's open source, this should be freely available, right, to the public, and then we have the GPL license as well. But if it has pieces of proprietary code that is owned legally by another entity, then that was the problem. If SCO won that, Linux would not exist today. It wouldn't, because everybody who uses Linux, from businesses all the way down to personal individuals like ourselves, we would have to pay them a licensing fee. So if you think about Microsoft's Windows or Apple Mac, you pay a licensing fee. Imagine if every single person, all the businesses, think about all your Android devices, everybody had to pay licensing fee. It would make Microsoft and Apple look like peanuts, because they would have made absolutely trillions of dollars if they were found to be the actual rights holder of that code, which they said they owned down to the Linux kernel level. That's why that was so serious. That's why I say it was SCO versus IBM versus Linux. Because if SCO would have won, Linux would not be around today. Or it would be in a form that we would not be used to, okay? And so, in the end, Novell was found to have the original rights to the Unix proprietary code parts that were also adapted to Linux. And so it would indemnify this. They indemnified anybody who uses Linux, and basically they were not going to go sue them or allow other third parties to go sue them if they used that base code. Okay, and so after that, I think it was 2003. After that, the case was pretty much closed and shut, right? And SCO basically went into bankruptcy. But they resurfaced. Okay, so Shatter says official internet born in 1994, but it was based in 1987. You're right. Shatter, very good indeed to Rose. And Rose say, thanks to the geeks out there, I'm becoming more aware about privacy. Watch Tom go on fire. And yeah, so that was the whole story behind it. But here just recently, there was news that SCO actually won a little bit of victory in the Court of Appeals. Okay, so let's understand this. And so if anybody wants to correct me, they can. So SCO basically at this point, they cannot go after people who use Linux for the Linux kernel code, because they do not own the rights to it, okay? Because Novell owns the rights, and Microsoft is involved with that as well, but that's a whole nother story. But now the Court of Appeals is basically giving SCO an option, or now the chance to come back into court to fight the misappropriation. So what this is the fact that I'm not a lawyer, but basically it's like, hey, we went into agreement, SCO and IBM, and you know, in good faith, that you wouldn't take our code that we worked on and then use it on your competing operating system, which is exactly what they did. Now, if they do win this in the Court of Appeals, then in general, I think SCO will potentially get millions, maybe billions of dollars from IBM for their IBM AIX operating system, but I don't think they'll be able to go outside of that and go after Linux users, okay? And so with this news, you know, it just reminds me of a few things, okay? First and foremost, it's complex. It's absolutely complex because you remember the whole patent infringement. This is all with patents as well. The whole patent thing with Samsung and Apple, obviously with Linux, SCO, IBM, Microsoft, Sun Microsystems. It is extremely complex because there's so many different parts, there's so many different players involved, and it affects everybody from governments, businesses, all the way down to the individuals. And so if you are in the whole patent litigation area, specifically technology, then you're probably never going to be unemployed. You're always going to have business because it's that complex. Now, from an individual point of view, one of my concerns with all of this is that, like, for example, if I'm like creating something, okay, like say like I downloaded some open source programs, right, or open source programming language, or I use open source tools, and then I use it to create something, whether it's for myself individually or whether I use it to generate money, and then somebody comes later and says, hey, you used that part of our technology without our consent, and now we're going to sue you for licensing fees. Okay, that is really possible, and it happens, I think, to a lot more people than we see. And so when I see news like this, especially when it concerns legalities of it all, it's kind of scary, okay? I think, to me, that's more of a concern than YouTube demonetization, in my opinion. Because imagine you put all this work and effort into creating something, right? And you use as best as possible open source tools, open source programming languages, and now you find out that you have to pay license fees or you're going to be put out of business. That is the reality. And in this world now, especially in the internet age where we are using so many tools, so many different tools, which are billions of lines of code, and then you are putting that out in the world, then there's a potential that you could get sued. There's a potential that you could run into problems like this. And that, I think, is a bigger fear than things such as what I talked about a little bit earlier. And I did talk about last week OpenAI, you know, where we will have open source artificial intelligence for us to use. And so that can also be a problem area. And so with all of that being said, I'm glad that SCO didn't win, okay? But also, along with everything that we talk about, I'm not sure how we could protect ourselves from that, okay? To be aware that these things could happen, but in terms of somebody who's just a guy creating content, I really don't know how you would be able to protect yourself from like legal issues or patent litigation, okay? About the only thing you could do is have a team. You know, if you're actually making money, a lot of money out of what you created, then of course you're going to have a legal team, you're going to have an accounting team as well. But I don't know, whenever I hear things like this, I'm just like, man, you know, it sucks. You know, it really does suck. You know, and if you yourself, you're trying to do this as ethically as possible, make sure I use open source tools, make sure that I'm not violating anything. But like I said, like even the Linux kernel, right? That has millions of lines of code, and that's just the kernel. That doesn't include everything else and all the service that you're using. There's no way humanly possible that you could factor for every potential issue. Okay, so Rose is saying, I think the judge should rule in favor of the consumer. Is there a time constraint in these patents, especially for SEO? I don't know, Rose, and like I said, you know, I'm not a lawyer, and it's really complex because it's not just the consumer, okay? In an ideal world, we want to think that everything should benefit the consumer, but as I just pointed out earlier, there's a business end to it, you know, like I'm a business or I'm a person, I'm spending money on this. You want to get something back for the money you spent, so you have to, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, you might have to look at things as a creator and a consumer because it affects both, and you need both. You know, you need a creator to create a business or create a product or services, so then you could have consumers to buy your product or service so you could stay in business. But you need consumers to buy your products and services, and so it's you know, it's a revolving cycle. And I do hope that you know, despite the fact that a lot of people don't like Google, they don't like Microsoft, they don't like Apple and so forth, but they've also done a lot of good things, okay? These bigger businesses who all started out as small businesses, just remember that. They started off small. They didn't start off a $1 trillion company. No, they all started small. They started with an idea with just a few people normally, okay? Just remember that part of it. But in the end, they did do a lot of good. Like, for example, a lot of these companies like Novell or Google. They release a lot of their code base, okay, for the public to use, and then legally made sure that people couldn't sue them for using it, okay? And obviously they did it for business reasons as well, okay? But that's where the the positive and negatives come in. And so Vasil is saying Garage Inc. Yeah, you're right. And so I didn't want to go too much further into that, but to me it was really funny that this came back up when I saw it. I'm like, wait, SCO, aren't they like dead? But no, they're back. And if you think about time-wise, they've been suing IBM over this for like nearly 15 years now. So that's a long time. And so hopefully as we evolve as a worldwide economy more into the digital age, and more of us are actually becoming creators, as a matter of fact. Even if you don't feel like you are a creator, if you are putting posts or writing a blog, creating videos, anything like that, creating music, you are a creator. And so more and more people around the world are going to become creators, which means there's going to be new things that they're going to have to learn. And there's also, in this case, new things that they're going to have to be cognizant of and also adapt, and basically just be prepared to get sued. If I had to be a realist, just be prepared to get sued in the future. Okay, and so that's it for this particular episode. It's been almost an hour. And once again, I do definitely want to thank everybody that was here. Vasil, Rose, Shatter, Lance, Gaza, and anybody else who is watching. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing, commenting, and discussion, because I really feel in our geek community, it's really awesome that we are able to discuss things in a very geeky way. And if you had any thoughts on any things that we discussed today, leave it in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, leave a like and subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/geekoutdoors.